Good afternoon. This is Mike Farley, Poolside Perspective Podcast. I hope you are having a great day, and thank you for joining us here. Hopefully we can give you lots of information to inspire you on your backdoor outdoor living and pool journey.
Oh, yeah.
So exciting week.
Oh, yeah, exciting week. I'm Trey Farley, and it's getting festive, man. Christmas is around the corner. Time's moving quicker and quicker. So, yeah, I'm excited to have that downtime. Oh, we just did the tree lighting at my fiance's dad's house. I've set up 2 Christmas trees already, and it's probably going to be 3 here soon with yours. So.
Yeah, we've been busy with puppies and haven't got the Christmas tree up yet. So
you've had your hands full with 15 of them.
Yeah, so it's puppies started going home this week. So it's people are like, aren't you sad to see them leave? And do you know how much 15 puppies eat and poop?
Yeah, they just roll around and it's crazy, man.
So they're a great ball of fun. So if you really want to know about puppies and water and swimming pools and dogs, check out the last podcast because we covered dogs and water.
Yeah, we went very detailed into it. So
there's a lot of fun things that you can do with your dog, regardless of what kind of breed that you have.
Yeah, but we're not talking about dogs today.
No dogs today. Well, I mean, you could yes, a dog might enjoy this topic.
I've seen actually a couple of Goldens go down a slide in the pool a couple times. Some of the videos I kind of felt bad for the dog because the dog was like terrified looking.
Right.
Some of them look like they'd done it like a lot.
I mean, we test our puppies out on the slide in the backyard. The little one.
They don't look scared when they go down that.
I think they have fun. So
yeah.
Anyway, well, we don't have a slide in the pool to test them on. So.
No, we do not. But hey, we've put in a lot of slides on a lot of pools for a huge amount of different people.
Variety.
So, yeah,
lots of variety. We're going to talk with Dolphin Slides today, who we use predominantly for our slides on our projects and creating a lot of fun. So I guess we'll jump on with them.
Let's get it.
Good evening.
Howdy.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing well. Welcome to Poolside Perspective Podcast.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank y'all. So you guys have the product that's probably the most fun that we get to deal with on a process. And so there's a lot of questions people have about slides. And so we wanted to provide some information today. So the podcast generally is for homeowners to gather information so they can find out things that they can tell their designer that they want. So if the designer doesn't bring the proper things to the table, but also it's for people that are new in the pool industry that don't know about all the cool things that can be done. So anyway, we're just trying to give information for people to learn from. So, so tell us a little bit about the history. So several people are asking me, how did Dolphin Slides start? And I'm like, I don't even know the whole story here. So how did this come about?
Well, I'll take that one.
Okay.
We actually started out working, all of us worked for a commercial water slide company.
Okay.
And so we did that for a few years. Each one of us, that's how we were introduced to water slides in general. And it only took us about, Andrea, maybe 6 years to find each other?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, we just kind of went from there.
How long's Dolphin Slides been in existence?
Roxanne will have to check this for me, but I think it's about 15 years now.
Okay.
So, yeah, we started the company back in 2006.
Okay.
Lisa and myself had worked for a commercial company together. Andria had later worked for that same company. And he just tended to overlook the residential division quite a bit. And so we kind of took that over from him. He sold that out to us in 2006. So we've been, the same people have owned the company since then.
Okay. But the product was available before 2006. It was just with a different vendor.
Yep, that's right.
Okay. Because I can remember the very first project that I did, I want to say it was about 2003 3 or 4, and it was a yellow slide that I did with Matt Golke. And
yes, I remember that.
Because everybody was like, "You sure you want to do that color?"
Yes.
And it was in y'all's brochure for a while.
It was. It turned out beautiful.
Yeah.
You did well with that color.
Yeah. So it was because of the masonry color that was all used was the reason. But if you first look at it, it was like, man, that's yellow. Are we sure you want to do that? And the clients were like, yeah. So actually, I drove by that house just the other day, and it's for sale. So. Oh,
really?
Yeah, but they've lived there a long time. So that was the first one that I did, and then I went to work with Claffey, and we've done a whole lot of slides with them. So anyway, okay. So do y'all do commercial slides, or do you do just residential slides?
We try to stick with residential as much as possible. That's what we started the company focusing on. That's where 99% of our attention goes. We will do a commercial, a municipal type project for some customers, but we like residential. We like dealing one-on-one with the homeowners. We like dealing with, pool builders that we deal with. We get to talk to you about every job.
Right.
Commercial, you would have so many fewer projects. You just don't get it's not the same type of industry. So we try to keep it as separate as we can.
Oh, I understand that. People all the time are like, do you do commercial work? And I'm like, not a chance in the world.
We don't like it either.
No, it's a totally different niche. So
it is.
It'd be interesting though, because I feel like after 2020, you were saying that the slides are getting higher in some residential jobs. So like they're requesting bigger slides. So
definitely.
So have you seen that change a lot? The height and the length of the slide increase after like maybe 2020, the pandemic?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Lots of really big slides.
Yeah. So, I mean, for a decade, I would say from early 2000s to, 2012, well, actually, all the way through, almost COVID, my standard slide was a 15-foot one-piece slide. I mean, I put that slide in all the time. I can think of a handful of times before that I did anything other than that. I mean, that's what most people wanted. And then it was right before actually COVID is when the trend started to change for me.
People want to come off of balconies now a lot, second balconies. And yeah, we get a lot of that now. So,
I mean, that request has always come up, but it never got sold a whole lot. So you all are selling I've seen some of your social media posts with them coming off the second floor. So
yes, we get a lot of calls coming off a second story balcony. It's very popular these days.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of fun. So
how tall can they get in a residential backyard? I mean, if there's like no limits on the HOA and the city, how big do y'all go?
Well, we personally won't go over 20 feet without speaking with our own insurance company.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then we just decide from there if it's something that we want, that we would take the risk for, that, we think that this homeowner is actually going to move forward with the project, that they're going to use somebody that will install it like it needs to be installed. But yeah, we don't mind as long as it's safe. And we've been doing this for all of us over 20 years now. So as long as it's safe, we're down to try anything, Yeah.
Is that 35 feet long typically, like a 20-footer?
Oh, no. When you get into 20 feet of slide length or 20 foot of elevation, unless it's a speed slide, you're talking about 100, 120 foot, 130 foot slides.
Okay.
And they're more common than people feel like they are. You just get those people that they want, the same people that would spend the money on, the extra side-by-sides for the family, they'll spend it on a water slide for the family.
Yeah.
So it's just what they've got. And like you said, coming out of COVID, the balconies, the tree houses, the people just started getting creative with the elevations that were already in their backyard.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of why we started seeing these elevations creep up, because people were seeing their balcony as their platform. Now all of a sudden, they were shifting stairways around, and we're going to be able to come out of the pool and not enter the house anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I think that's been a lot of it.
So a 20-foot, I mean, a one-story house
can't be 10 feet.
I mean, that's all like 10. So you're coming off like a second-story balcony. I mean,
yes.
Or a third story. Yeah.
We have. We're working with architects and engineers right now on a project that we're actually coming off of the third floor.
Wow.
And we're keeping the whole thing inside the house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So, I mean, it's fun. Sometimes, Mike, you and I have worked together on a lot of designs. They can get frustrating, but, the fun part of it is when you figure it out. Everybody, they get what they want in the end, and they're like, yeah, we did that.
Oh, yeah. So, okay, you just opened up a can of worms. So how many of your slides don't go into pools? Or do they all go into pools?
We do some that go into lakes, but they've got to go into some body of water.
Yep.
Okay. So they're not building a slide in the house just to go from one floor to the next.
No, that guy has a pool in his basement.
Okay.
Yes. The whole house has been redesigned around his desire for, now it's 2 water slides. It was 1 water slide going from the third floor to his basement pool. I mean, it's a beautiful project. And I believe it's going to close. So maybe you'll see that on social media pretty soon. We're still working the kinks out in it, but we're close.
So when someone approaches you, they have an idea of something. You then have an engineer that we work with in conjunction to come up with something that's safe, that's not a stupid solution, right?
Yeah. And our experience, we work with structural engineers, right. We work with architects and designers, and we work with your engineers. So whatever specifications we have to have, we'll work through that. But a lot of this is based on our experience. This is what we've done for our entire career, is put water slides together. We know when one's going to be too fast. We know when a homeowner's asking for something that's, a little more than it needs to be.
Right. Awesome. So where are y'all, I know where you are, but for people that don't know, where are y'all located?
Adamsville, Tennessee. And then our manufacturing plant is just over into North Mississippi.
Okay. So someone orders a slide. How long does that process take? So
really, it depends on the time of the year. Obviously, like spring, we're quite a bit more busy. Right now, it's running. I've been telling everybody to just kind of plan on 4 to 6 weeks. Right now, the closer we get to spring, I hope that it stays that way. But, it does tend to get a little longer lead times once it gets warm and people start thinking about water slides.
Do you have many homeowners that reach out and contact you, or is it mostly through? Oh, so yes.
Yes, absolutely. We've got a lot of very handy homeowners that, feel like they can put it together, and then they put it together, or they'll find an installer, that's willing to install it for them.
Okay. So y'all take the slides, and then what's the farthest that you've actually shipped one?
We've shipped slides to Washington State. We ship a lot of slides to Utah these days. It is really booming there. But we ship slides all over the country. What we try to do, we ship them on a flatbed trailer, and we try to group multiple slides that are going in the same general direction. And that way we can split the freight up, among all the customers who are on that load. That makes it a little bit easier because, shipping is high if you're shipping all the way to like Utah or California. So we try to group others on there to make it a little better.
That's cool. I'm curious, just because there might be some people that listen to this podcast and they don't know much about Dolphin in general. If we just talk about like the materials and features of the slide for a second. So what is the slide even made of?
It is hand-laid gel coat fiberglass. So it's just like the big water parks, the slides. It's the same materials.
Okay. That's good quality.
And are they an open flume or are some of them enclosed?
We have open and enclosed.
Oh.
You can even you can start it as an enclosed and have it lead into an open flume. You just can't go from open to enclosed.
Okay. So can your enclosed be put in the ground?
It can be buried, and that's what most people do with the tubes. However, you can't just put the dirt directly on the tube. Oh. You've got to build sort of like a rebar and a wire mesh cage to sort of hold most of the weight up off of the slide. But yeah, that's very popular.
Okay. So there has to be some type of structure to carry the dirt load. You just can't put the tube in the ground and bury it. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Makes total sense.
Some of the parts, they're just so long, they don't have the strength to handle that.
No, it makes total sense. So, okay, cool.
When would they be going underground?
Well, so I've done designs. It wasn't a Dolphin slide. It was before when I worked for Matt Golke. I had a slide that went under, 2 slides that went underground.
So the pool is underground too?
No, I was going from the upper level to a lower level pool, a double level pool.
I got you. That makes sense. Yeah.
So I took it actually underground so you couldn't see it at all.
Wow. That'd be really cool.
And a lot of people, even if they don't bury the slide, they hide it. They'll backfill around it. They don't want to see it.
Yeah.
So, we don't run across that as much anymore, but that used to be a big thing. It was like, we don't want to see the slide. And that's what they would do. They would just bury it and, you've got it. It's fun and you don't have to look at it.
Yeah.
Well, actually, that's probably the number one thing that people talk to us about is they don't want to see the slide.
It depends on the customer. Some people don't mind seeing it. You have jobs where it's right there. It's not buried. It falls seamlessly into the architecture itself. But there are those customers that it's like, okay, can we do like some kind of fencing or screening to cover it up? They want the feature though, but they just
100%. They want the feature, but they want me to creatively come up with something to camouflage it. So, and I've come up with some fun ones over the years. So
yes.
Anyway. The big green wall is probably the most popular one today because it's still kind of a modern look.
Yeah, and it's pretty flat. It's typically pretty hard to hide it with a flat yard.
Yeah, right. That was a single level pool, but it looks like a big boxwood hedge, so the slide comes out of it. So anyway.
Yeah.
Filling up a pot that's sitting on a burner. One of the nice things about this burner too, I'm just going to point out, is it's recessed.
Yes.
It's not up on top. So if this is up here, me cooking up here is much harder than if this is lower and we're going to, cook in something like that. So if you're going to do something with a burner a lot of times that's a nice feature to look at you've got set up here. But explain this feature because I think this is really nice to have.
We were specifying these in the early 80s. Not that it took a dive. We see trends that re-enter the market again.
Sure.
The pot filler faucet, here we go again. They want to bring everything from the indoors to outdoors. We don't have to bring gallons of water out there. Water is right there at your command. You can fill it up without having to lift the pot up there. You're exactly right. This burner recess does a lot of things. It provides a wind wall. I can see inside of it. It's not too high where I don't burn my forearms. But also, if you're doing soups, any type of tortilla soups or chilies, it's always nice to have this feature here if you need that. Also, it serves other purposes. If I need to wipe down a counter and things like that, I can take, when I'm done and I'm doing my cleanup, I can have my Dawn dishwashing liquid, fill that up, and then do a wipe down of all my equipment after the cook. So.
Okay, so is there issues with this with the cold weather?
There is not, and it's just like any other faucet, but with the creation of PEX instead of copper, It's now value added. We're seeing a lot more water and ice machines in outdoor kitchens because that PEX line, which is a polyvinyl line, doesn't expand and contract like copper does. I will mention this though, when you terminate your water, you want to make sure that you have a water termination under here, and then you open up the valve on this so the ice or water, if it freezes during cold months, it doesn't expand the line. We want to do that. So a lot of people will terminate the water, but they'll forget to release this that opens up an airspace. So if the ice does, the water does expand after it freezes, it will not break the unit. So
awesome. Yeah. And who's this made by?
It's made by Alfresco. This is their pot filler tower.
Okay.
304 stainless, 304 tower. What is stainless? What does 304 mean to you as a consumer? Has a lot of nickel and chromium in it. So if I have a salt water system, then this is not going to pit or rust. No.
Okay. Very good.
Right.
Thanks.
Thanks.
When you have a slide, a lot of times people they put it in the same thought process as like a diving board. And a diving board has to have a safety envelope that's certain width and certain length and certain depth. And I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask you anyway. So what is required from a safety standpoint for your product?
Well, for ours, we've got multiple versions of slides. We've talked a lot about our custom slides, but when you opened up with the show today, we were talking about the one pieces.
Right.
You can pretty much do anything that you want to with them. You've got to have 3.5 foot left or right for a total of 15 foot out in front of the slide. And then for the larger custom slides, that envelope is 10 foot wide by 15 to 20 foot long. It depends on the project. A lot of commercial slide companies require that 20 foot. And we figure if a commercial code is good, that will stick with that with residential too, if it's getting into that big of a slide.
So is there a certain depth? Does it have to be 8 feet deep, or how deep?
No, we've only got to have 4 feet of water depth.
Okay.
And that changes. If you've got more water, we can go in at a different angle with the slide. There are multiple ways to approach it. I think one of the best water depths that we terminate into is that 4 foot water depth. It's good for everybody, swimmers and non-swimmers.
Right.
You mentioned speed slides earlier. Do y'all do those by any chance or no?
Yes.
You do?
That was actually my favorite.
Okay.
Because really, we price these like per foot. So you can do like a speed slide and it just looks like this massive, 10, 12 foot elevation, but the actual slide footage is straight. So it's just straight down. And so, the slide doesn't cost as much as like a longer slide, but the look of it is just very impressive, Yeah.
And the thrill.
Does that change the, for lack of better words, the diving envelope on the pool? No, it's the same. Okay.
Yeah, it's the same. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Now, sometimes people will have a certain elevation that they want the slide to start at, and the length of the slide is just not quite there, so we can have it enter the pool a little bit higher above the coping. But once you go like 20 inches above the coping, then you need to start having, the water depth has to increase too.
Yeah. That's cool.
Okay. So when we come in and specify, if we say, we want the slide to enter 12 inches higher than the pool, then we would add depth to the pool. So we'd probably need more like 5 feet instead of 4 feet, something like that.
Anything over 20 inches above the pool coping, that's when you need to start, having a little more water.
Okay.
But yeah, just 12 inches, that's fine. You can leave that. You can still terminate in 4 foot of water with that.
Okay.
And a lot of people have like automatic pool covers, as long as you let us know that in the design, part, we can accommodate those as well.
Yeah. So like Dr. Ford wanted his up a little bit higher.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about.
His was 8 feet deep, so there was no problem at all doing that.
Yeah.
That's going to be a cool picture. We just plastered that pool. So
that's also something you need to know, like in the design process. Like, do you want your kids to like have that free fall into the pool, or do they want to go right into the pool? So
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that is a lot, when we do work with the homeowners, there are people that are, that's what they're looking for. I want that drop into the pool.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure you don't eliminate that in the design. We'll work around that.
Okay.
So we've got the one-piece slides, and the speed slide's a one-piece slide as well, right?
Well, we do have a solid piece, 19-foot long speed slide,
Yes.
but we do speed slides with our sectional flume parts as well.
Okay.
So those are the ones that look really cool.
Okay.
Yeah, we like those better than the single piece slide.
Okay. So what is your most popular slide?
The 15.5 foot.
Okay.
Yeah.
The one that I've been using forever. So
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And also, like for homeowners, the solid piece slides, the 10, the 15.5, and even the 19-foot, we've got support systems that we sell with those. Everything with the sectional flume slides, you would need to do either concrete sonotubes or have steel posts or something like that. But the solid piece slides, we've got that support system that we sell with it. So really all you've got to do is, get some stairs to get up to it, basically.
So you guys leave the stairs up to the people that are doing the installation. Is that correct?
We try to.
Okay. And
We do.
so, but you've seen different types of stairs. It's everything from stone steps to wood steps to metal steps. I mean, it's all over the place, I guess.
Yeah. Like I said, we've done one of the bigger projects that we did this year that we've closed up was off of a tree house. That it was a very nice tree house, but they built a tree house and they're like, we want a water slide from this too. So
that's cool.
No, I designed one several years ago that the client was like, we want the coolest backyard possible.
Mm-hmm.
And so we designed a tree house with 2 slides. They wanted a speed slide and then one more that was curly, around, and a lazy river and all these things. And then the price tag came in, and the husband came in and said, well, my wife, I told her to do something neat, but I told her she could spend $400,000 and your pool's at $1.4 million.
Oh, boy.
Can you shave $1 million off this? It's like, yeah, that would have been helpful to know at the beginning, because a lot of people spend a lot of time figuring out this. And he's like, yes, I understand y'all did this and I apologize. And so that was my only tree house that I've designed so far.
I did see some interesting steps into a slide, because one of the builders we work with, he had his personal pool done, and he kind of took forever on the stairs. And remember, he had that wood little ladder. He had like a wood ladder that was kind of like jerry rigged together so they could get into the slide. It was hilarious.
Yeah. So he was like, yeah, I'm going to take care of the stairs. And I was like, we're going to put this slide up and your kids are going to demand to go down this thing.
Yes.
I said, just wait and see. Yeah. Less than a week later.
I see people using the spiral staircases also.
Yep. Yeah. No, spiral staircase would look nice and work well.
As long as the platform is big enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry for this interruption, but we're going to talk about a design concept real quick. So we're talking about water slides. Is there a specific job that you want to talk about that comes to mind?
Well, I think one of the coolest places slides work is in what I call double pool.
Yeah.
So over the years, we did pools with a vanishing edge basin. And one of the things when you're looking at family use and how this space uses is typical vanishing edge basin was 3 or 4 feet wide. So it's not a functional pool to swim in at all. And so we started looking at projects and saying, well, if we made this lower pool bigger, could it become functional?
Mm-hmm.
And so now we've done pools that there's 1,000 square feet on the upper pool and 1,000 square feet on the lower pool. I mean, they're massive lower pools, and usually there's two different functions.
Yeah.
So we'll have the top pool has the big tanning ledge. It has the shallow area for playing water volleyball. It's got places where people can hang out, lots of places to gather and sit. And then the lower pool is the active pool. Other than volleyball and basketball being in the upper pool because it's shallow, the lower one's deeper. It usually has the slide going into it, and it has a diving board going into it. So that's a very common scenario solution. So with that concept, I had a pool recently where they wanted a sunken fire pit in the pool.
Ooh.
Which was really cool.
Yeah.
But by putting the sunken fire pit in the pool and having it surrounded by water, the top pool wasn't real functional.
Yeah, you weren't like swimming laps in that pool.
No, if it was a big pool, but there wasn't a lot of space to move around and everything. So we initially were talking about just a vanishing edge basin. Well, what came up also is we want a slide. This house was extremely contemporary.
Yeah.
All glass everywhere.
A lot of sight lines.
A lot of sight lines. Where in the world are we going to hide a slide here?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, well, we need it to look good. So it turned out there was only really one spot that we could put it, and that spot was in the primary sight line from the front door.
Oh, geez.
Looking through the living room, through all the glass and everything like that. So
how'd you hide it?
What we ended up doing was talk to them, and I'm like, how big a slide do I need? And they're like, we just want to have a fun little slide. So Dolphin made a 10-foot long slide. It's only 4 foot tall.
Okay.
And so what I did is incorporated it with a really wide staircase that was going down from the upper level to the lower level. And basically the slide became almost like a handrail on one side.
Oh, wow.
And so when you were going down the steps, it just followed the steps going down. So what ended up happening is that the masonry was very fluid, fit in with the slide very well. So it seemed like the slide just kind of grew out of the steps going down into the lower basin. And then from the house, as you looked out, you could barely even see that there was a slide there.
Yeah.
So it didn't mess up any of the sight lines. It didn't become something that was, a wart out there.
Not at all.
It just flowed. As it flowed down the steps, you flowed down the slide into the pool. So we ended up making the lower pool bigger so they could have more activity space just for playing around. Because with the sunken fire pit in the upper pool, it was difficult to have a lot of activity space. There was a tanning ledge, there was a spa, and you kind of float around a little bit. But so they wanted place. Their kids were very active, and they had a built-in basketball court on the property, so they wanted to play ball and stuff like that. So the lower basin became the activity space as well as accommodated the slide. So you can look at different solutions to come up with different things and, different ways to hide things. But that was probably one of the funner, more modern solutions we've come up with recently.
Yeah, we've shown that job to a couple new customers that are trying to figure out how to hide a slide and what looks good. And it's funny when you show them the image, the great image from the lower basin area, and you show that to them, or any picture really of the pool, and they're like, what are you talking about? I don't see a slide on this job at all. And it's like, where's Waldo? It just blends right in. It's beautiful.
I think I always,
if you're looking for it, you can see it.
I always know where it's at.
Yeah.
So it's pretty obvious to me. But yes, it is probably one of the most fluid situations. And the Masons did a great job of doing the work on it. So
and it helps that there's a sunken fire pit in the upper pool. So I mean that's an eye catcher, right?
Sure.
So it kind of takes your attention away from where the slide might be.
Yeah,
so
100%.
All right.
Well, we can come do fun ones for you. So let us know.
All right. Well, you enjoy the rest of this podcast.
Is there a particular design that you think your slides go best into, or you can put them in just about any type of style or design of pool?
I guess the only thing that we tend to run into problems with, it's hard for us to get our slides inside pools that have the enclosures over them. That's really difficult because we don't have that tight little footprint that people are used to, that these are designed around. I would say, I mean, we've made that work. We've got them in there, but that's probably one of the harder things to do. Just making sure that you have the room for our slides, because a lot of architects that haven't worked with us personally, I know they know what they're doing, but they're dropping water slides in plans left and right that are 4 foot. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
They're 4 foot radiuses, and then they're bringing the design to us and wondering why our slide won't fit. We've got a 6 foot centerline radius. That's a very large slide compared to those spiral slides that you can see water on some, you can't see water on some. I'm not knocking them. Everything has its place.
Right.
But that's probably the hardest thing, is trying to go back in and fit a slide that's made to fit the kids and dad that paid for it. We want dad to be able to ride this too, right? Mom, the aunts, the uncles. That's one of the reasons our slides are bigger. The curves are bigger. We do need a little more room for them. Yeah. That's probably one of the hardest things about designing them.
So one of the things that I've told clients over the years is there's some other manufacturers that the problem I have with their slides is, as a large adult, you don't fit comfortably in them. Okay. Because they're designed for kids. Okay. Mm-hmm. But, I tell them, everybody can go down this slide. Okay. Right. I've seen grandmas go down the slide. I've seen little children go down the slide. I've seen everything in between go down the slide. Trey was talking about dogs going down the slide.
You had customers that didn't have kids and they wanted a slide.
Oh yeah. No, I had a client, and I remember this was quite a while ago, and I was like, so how old are your kids? And they're like, we don't have any kids. And I was like, okay, so what do you want a slide for? And they were like, fun.
Right.
And I was like, oh, okay. Adults can have fun. Yeah, that's cool. And it was funny because within a year of us building the pool, and I was like, are you going to have kids anytime soon? No. They had their first child like a year later.
Oh, right.
They've got 3 now that I know of.
Just say no one time.
Anyway, so when you're doing a slide, is there a range of colors that they are available in? I mean, or is there?
We have so many colors. We have so many colors. We have a set of solid colors. It's just solid colors. And then we have another line. It's the shimmer line that have little tiny speckles and like a fine shimmer. We can even color match. I think we're working on a pink one right now. Is that right, Roxanne?
We are. We're working on bubblegum pink.
Bubblegum pink. The Barbie house.
They are set on it.
Well, I did yellow, so I can't complain. So
yeah, you never know.
We've done purple.
Purple.
We have.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh.
Mm-hmm. So as these colors are out there over a period of time, are they going to hold their color? Do they fade a lot, or is there things that you can do from a maintenance standpoint to help with them? There's things
Definitely.
Like that.
Yes, there is definitely maintenance. All of the colors eventually will fade some. It's just the nature of gel coat. But we do recommend at least twice a year that you wax these slides. If you live like, Arizona or somewhere where it's very sunny all the time, you might even want to wax it 3 times. If it were me, I would use a cleaner wax for one of those, because eventually it's going to start to get oxidation. That's that like chalky, cloudy, dry. You've seen it on boats. And that cleaner wax will get rid of that before you can even feel it or see it, because if you deal with it before it spreads, it's a lot easier to get rid of. And I've seen, 10-year-old slides that had not been taken care of at all, and brought back to just almost brand new,
Wow. That leads me into a question. So, because I remember we went on a photo shoot a couple months ago, and unfortunately, a tree limb fell and broke the slide partly. So how's the warranty or repair? Do y'all have like a repair team or anything like that, or is that like outsourced to someone else?
We have a map of repair techs that we've come across, over the years. We can usually put you in touch with one of those that are fairly close. Most of the time it can be repaired. Now, if, like you said, like a tree limb fell, we have seen people, run into them with backhoes where the part completely breaks.
Yeah.
Usually those parts have to be replaced. But yeah, most things like scratches, gouges, things like that can be repaired pretty easily.
Okay.
And we do warranty them for a year. Against any manufacturing defects. But if something ever does happen, you have a storm or something like that, definitely give us a call. We can put you in touch with someone that can help.
As we go down the slide, there's water. Okay, that's going down the slide to help us slide down.
I'd hope so. It'd be probably hard to slide without the water.
Yeah, it'd be kind of sticky. So how much water do you want in these slides to make them work well?
Well, for the one pieces that we were talking about, either one of those, you don't need but about 60 gallons per minute of water going down them.
Okay.
Whenever you start getting into the open flume slides, for the open flume, you're looking at around 120 gallons per minute.
Okay.
And with the tube slides, it just depends on the slide itself, how big it is, how long it is. Sometimes we will go up to 240 gallons per minute on those. That's a pretty big slide, though.
Okay. Perfect.
But no, it's not. We do have to have a lot more than just a water hose. We've seen people try, try it, and it just doesn't work. Ours need water.
So what slide do you think is really neat that people aren't aware of as much, or you think that if people knew about it as more, that they would be really popular? Is there one that falls?
I think the sectional flume speed slides, and we are trying, because we've got a lot of what we call pre-designed slide models on our website, which is just a lot of popular slide designs there. It's handy to pick from, but we don't have any speed slide designs on our website yet, but we are working on getting some new models based on popular requests that we keep getting for the same slide paths and stuff. So we're getting ready to revamp the website and offer more models and some of those speed slides.
Okay. Yeah, I have designed one speed slide. That's all, which is kind of amazing. And it got built, not by me. They took my plans and got someone else to build it. But it was a Dolphin slide, so it did end up with y'all. Anyway, I always wanted to get a picture of that one, but haven't got it yet. So anyway.
I'm wondering, do y'all do custom paths? Have y'all ever had a customer request a certain path and they're just set on that path and y'all did that? Or is that not in the
every day?
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh yeah. I don't use any of their templates. No, I create havoc for them. They're like, another email from Megan. Oh no, what has Mike done now?
We are grinning ear to ear when we see your designs, because your team does know our product so well.
Yeah.
As far as what making a custom design, everybody does. They draw in this completely 100% custom slide that we can't do. We would have to build a part and then build a mold and then pull it, and it's just not feasible. But we take that idea and we show them what we can do. Mm-hmm. And we're usually pretty darn close to what they wanted. Will you please handle him? I cannot get him to be quiet.
And we can't hear him. So
okay. He is clawing at my bedroom door.
So,
and go put him in Mason's room.
So what I found out years ago is here's their part sizes.
Okay, that's smart.
So when I design a slide, I'm like, okay, I need this many straights, and then I got the curves here, and so I can build it so I know that I'm somewhat close to what they actually can manufacture.
Is there a certain degree that you can't go past, like a real sharp turn, or is it pretty much just a right angle is like the hardest you can turn?
Well, no, like she said, their radius is it's a 6 foot radius, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
6 foot 45 degree.
Yeah, so you can't go any tighter than that.
Yeah,
and that's where some architects, I'm sure, draw stuff all the time tighter than that, and it's like, no, that won't work.
Yeah,
and quite honestly, it wouldn't be a comfortable ride either
at all.
If you're hitting a corner and slammed up against the wall and that type of thing. You want it to flow.
Yeah, I've seen viral videos of people going down like slides at parks, and it's like, oh, they're testing out to see how safe it is, and they're just hitting back and forth constantly. It's
wow. Yeah.
So one of the things that we did on a slide this year, which I'd never done before, is we actually put a railing on it. Because it was a really long run, and then it had a 45-degree corner on the Smith project. Because we originally had a design that was a little more fluid, but the city required us to be a certain distance off the fence, and so we had to straighten the run out, and so we ended up putting the what's it
high
called?
Walls. Yeah.
What's it called?
High walls.
High walls. Yes. So can you explain to people what those are?
So because everything that we do is custom, we do know that sometimes the slides are going to be a little fast. And if that happens and you get out there and you've got one installed, we've got 12-inch extensions that we can send out, to if you do get a little nervous about a curve, that we can bring that whole wall up another foot. And we can do that around any curves where we feel like you might need a little extra safety.
Is that textured like the same as the rest of the slide, or does it have like kind of a grip to it?
No, it's just like the rest of the slide.
Okay.
It looks identical.
Yeah, that's good.
It's color coded the same. Everything looks the same. So the one comment I remember when you mentioned it to me was you said that when you have bigger people going down the slide, that's a bigger issue than like kids. So like big adults, that's where that becomes helpful.
Yeah, the heavier massed guys, mass in general, he'll ride that curve higher, and it's typically the dad that winds up, saying, well, we're getting a little high in this. Sometimes, moms will call and they'll say that the kids are, but usually if somebody's getting too fast, it's going to be daddy.
Yeah.
The bigger people.
Those crazy dads.
Yeah, Isaac Newton has a couple of rules about that.
Like the slide, the kids, the older they get and the bigger they get, the slide will be more fun. It kind of grows with them.
Correct. So those could be added with any slide that was done over a period of time?
Oh, yeah, at any time. Mm-hmm.
Okay, good to know. Yeah, because people do grow into projects and stuff like that. And I tell people all the time, especially if you entertain a lot, I think when people come over, they love the slide. And so the slide gets used a lot. And so then the family uses the slide a lot. So it's, anyway, I think that's, it's a really, really fun thing to create a lot of memories with in an outdoor space. So clients really enjoy it.
I'm wondering.
I agree.
Yeah. So I was wondering, are there any like standout? I know you mentioned the basement job that's in the works, which is awesome. But is there like any standout customer stories or like unique installations you'd like to share about? Because we love stories on this podcast.
I think that I'm gonna have to talk about my buddy Matt Graves.
Okay.
What do you think, Andrea?
Yeah, that was a good one.
So we did slide for. He's a homeowner, and he owned his own construction company.
Okay.
So he knew kind of what he was getting into. He had his pool already in place, and he wanted a water slide. We got out there and we designed. It's just a little candy cane shaped slide, but he was so thorough with his install. He wanted it to be perfect for his family, his kids, and his parents. And he actually opened that slide up and sent me an email and told me that his parents had wrote it for their 50th wedding anniversary. They had the party at that house and they rode the slide together. So, I mean, to me, that's very, very special because it was just a project that he poured his heart into. He installed it. He called every time he had a question, and he was just so kind. And it's maybe a 50-foot slide. I don't think it's quite 50 foot, but it was just the love that he put into it.
It also shows how smooth your ride is on the slide. If if my grandma was going down a slide, I'd be like, whoa, that's crazy. So.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
We get a lot of calls where people have ridden like a slide at a water park, and it was bumpy, when you go from one section to the next, and they're concerned about that. But really, it's all in just lining those parts up in the install so that they're flush. As long as you are, careful about that, it's very smooth. And then after you've got the whole thing together, you'll come in and fill the seams with a caulk. So, yeah, it's very smooth.
Yeah, I remember as a kid, I used to love the water park. I remember you used to ditch me and just let me play all day with my cousins. Well, you wouldn't ditch me, but the worst is always like going down a slide really fast and then hitting your tailbone on one of those that's not lined up right. Ugh.
Yes, that's awful.
One of the things that I've done a lot of slides on is what I call double pools, where we've got an upper pool. And then we put the slide in that you enter from the upper pool and then slide down to the lower pool. And basically you don't see the slide then at all. And it creates, usually the lower pool is like the slide and the diving board area. So it's for all the kids to hang out and play. And then the upper pool is more for hanging out and recreation. But that was probably, we've probably, I don't know how many of those we've done like that. Charlie Claffey, I think, did the first one on his personal home years ago that I saw. And I was like, okay, I can steal that idea and use it. And we did one real modern one just recently with one of the 10-foot long slides, which I don't do many of. But everybody loved that slide because you looked out where it had to go was right when you entered their front door and looked out their windows. And this is a multi-million-dollar home. And at the back of the house is all glass. And so they're like, we want a slide, and this is where it has to go. And I'm like, but I got to figure out how to make it where it's not like a wart sticking out here. And so we used the 10-foot one because there was only a 4-foot drop with it. From an elevation standpoint, and we built it right into the set of a staircase. Anyway, it won quite a few awards too. So
yeah, it looks really good.
Nice.
Anyway,
yes, the projects that you guys have done over the years, they've always been. I felt like I've overused those pictures so much.
I don't know. I was going through your social media and I didn't find any of our slides on there.
Dude, are you kidding?
I'm not kidding.
They're all we reused them for so many years because they're the best looking slides that we had. Now we've got somebody else that's running our social media. But that 39 that we put in, it wasn't even our slide. Like, we went and found you somebody else's slide that would work. That it was a spiral little tower. What I don't know the name of the job, but
it wasn't one of mine. So
it was a classy job.
Yeah.
And it looked really good.
I know the job you're talking about, but I don't know the name. So
okay.
That's the fun is, we all compare notes in the office too, because, lots of people have done lots of different things. So we have a wealth of slide information. I know Shelly's done a bunch, Charlie's done a bunch. Anyway, I've done a few fun ones too. So anyway, is there something that's you guys have done a lot of the same things for years. Do you see branching out into anything else or anything new coming with slides?
Well, we would like to add some more model slides to our website, just because like the speed slides, people don't even know about those, and a lot of people, they'll be laying everything out and they think they have to use one of those model slides. They don't realize they can be customized. But yeah, some of those slides that we continually get requests for, it'd be nice to have those models, available on our website so people actually know about them,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that speed slide too. One of the things that's cool is it can fit really well with a more contemporary design where everything's straight lined.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't have, that much space to put a slide, so they don't take up a lot of room,
Right. It can work in a much smaller footprint and still work. Be a lot of fun. So, okay.
I'm wondering, and this is probably just like aftermarket stuff or a builder edits it, but does anyone, or have you seen it where people like maybe integrate like lighting on the slide, like LED lighting or fixtures, or does like some kind of water feature on top of it? I don't know.
The tube slides, we have people that, I don't know how they do it, but they intend to put the fiber optic lights in the tube somehow.
That's cool.
And then we'll have like some people that want an open flume slide to go underneath like some sort of waterfall feature, and we can do that. We just need like 7 foot of clearance. So
okay, so that's the height of clearance that you need safely from the bottom of the flume up before there's something going across
on the open flumes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. Well, any advice you have for us designers to use your product better?
To use it better? I think you do an amazing job with it. I think if you've got any questions, the biggest thing is just to reach out to us. We don't charge for our designs. You know that. So I guess we need to make sure that the homeowners know that. Anybody that's listening to this, like Andrea was saying, you don't have to pick a pre-design or a one piece just because you don't want to mess with the design. We can customize anything. It doesn't cost you, it doesn't cost anything. The revisions, none of that's charged on the front end. So just reach out to us in the beginning of the project. I think that sets everybody up better than adding the slide at the very end.
Yeah, definitely don't build a lot of things and think you're going to like find a slide that's just magically going to fit between all those things.
No, that magic doesn't work.
No,
yeah.
It does first.
I've done a lot of modifications. Okay, how do we get these sauna tubes to work underneath this and still make a walkway work and all those type of things. So I do have one question. So there's people that go out and build their own slide. So they take masonry and they construct something in somebody's backyard.
Like a gunite.
Yes, or gunite. So explain why this is a better solution than that solution.
Well, I know that we have replaced a lot of Gunite slides, and a lot of these people don't take just the size and the shape of the human body into account when they put these in. Very, tight angles and just kind of uncomfortable. And the reason that we're replacing so many Gunite slides is people are tired of redoing them. You've got to what's the word I'm looking for? You've got to come back and like reglaze them or whatever the word is. And people are tired of having to do that.
Yeah, I've seen it refinish the surface that's there.
What kind of surface do they use?
Well, I've seen all kinds of different things. I've seen people use glass tile.
Oh my goodness, that sounds terrible.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
Oof, that sounds rough.
There was a glass tile slide that, I saw it on the cover of magazines for years, Yeah,
a long time ago. That was the thing. So, early in my career, I worked for a company and I asked them about, hey, can we build something like this? And they're like, not a chance in the world.
Yeah.
Because of the liability issue. These aren't designed. I'm going to go out and build something and have it at the right angles and make it so it's steep enough, but not too steep. And, a lot of homeowners think, well, these blend in better. But
fiberglass can be repaired almost always if something happens to it. If you've got something like a tile, I don't know what the repair process would be. If something like chipped, but it's very easy to get cut if there is some sort of obstruction.
So the other thing that I think a lot of people don't understand is if what you're talking about is color matching. You could come in and use a lot of different colors to create something that would work better than some masonry that somebody's going to build a Gunite slide out of anyway. So you could create something from a visual standpoint that's better and a performance standpoint that's better.
Mm-hmm.
We Cafe is sort of like it's like a beige color that used to be our biggest seller. Now we sell more like platinum, the grays, and we do a lot of white. It seems like things are moving in that direction now.
How about black? So
we have
charcoal.
A color called Midnight Sky, which is totally black, and it's got tiny speckles and like a shimmer. It's not glittery like you'd see on a boat, it's just a fine shimmer. And then a solid color is charcoal, which is a very dark gray, and that's my favorite color. It looks beautiful.
So, yeah, they are beautiful.
Is that slide too? So I have an opinion on this, but I've had clients ask me, is that going to be too hot?
I knew that's what you were going to say.
I'm in Texas, so that's
they're all going to be very hot without water on them. They're all going to be that way. But once you get water running down it, it might a dark color might be slightly warmer than but you don't want to touch the slide anywhere without water running down if it's been sitting in the sun all day. Fiberglass is going to be hot, but once that water gets on it, it's not gonna burn you or anything like that.
That's what I said. So I've got a lot of projects that we've used a lot of contrasting light, dark, and we've designed a couple black ones, but haven't got them to the finish line.
I will say this, as far as like the color fading, it does tend to be less noticeable with a lighter color than it would be with, like a cafe or a darker color.
Sure. A white slide fades to white.
Right. There you go. It does.
Okay, cool.
And I think back to the Gunite slides, I think that people were building the Gunite slides when, maybe they didn't know about Dolphin. Obviously, there wasn't a residential slide company other than S.R. Smith at the time. Interfab, those type of slides were out. I think that they were doing the best that they could, but we can replace that now. Why would somebody still want to go in and build a Gunite slide and take that liability on themselves when they could come in and put in a fiberglass slide that if it doesn't ride the way you want it to, all you got to do is replace a part or two.
Yeah.
So that's really the thing. I think people use the Gunite slides when they had to, but they don't really need to anymore. I would stay away from them because we replace them a lot. Even if they're designed well, you have to go back over them every year and re-epoxy them. And if you've ever rode one, they wind up with that algae growing on them. It's just, I've rode them. They're slimy. It's gotten
harder to find people to do that also, to come and resurface those Gunite slides.
Yeah, if the finish is tile, I never heard of them until now. It seems like a nightmare because I worked on the back end of jobs and I was dealing with masons finishing up tile work and stuff like that. Tile pops off so much in Texas, it just naturally does. And then the patina, the algae growth also on top of that would be just weird.
Yeah,
it seems like it'd be very easy to get cut if something cracked.
No,
right.
Y'all's slides are a great solution. And they're a lot of fun. And I just think that a lot of times I get comments from other designers that I certainly do a lot of slides. And, those are kind of ugly. And my comment always is, I'm here to design for the client. And a lot of my clients want fun. And they want a great place for their family and friends to all be and hang out. And it's not about something looking like an art piece. It's, and we can do a lot of things to make them look great. Okay. But what it boils down to is, are you going to have a great memory about the view of your pool, or you can have a great memory about the time you spent with your family in it? So,
Right.
We get a lot of calls from homeowners who have no kids, and that is their dream. That's always been their dream, is to have a water slide in their backyard, and they want it as fast as possible.
Well, and when I built my pool, the comment that was made by my 3 children is, "Where's the slide?" And my comeback was, "Well, the slide will be installed for the grandkids."
Oh,
I love it.
And the comment was made by my oldest daughter about a year ago. She said, "You got grandkids now. Where's our slide?"
It's time.
So anyway, mine was designed so I could do a tree house.
Yep, it was. Yeah,
it was designed to have a tree house and a slide coming out of it. And when they did my waterfall, the mason ran into the trees that the tree house was going to be on and killed them all.
The one day you weren't supervising.
I was like, of all the houses that you guys did this is the only time this has ever happened, and it's at my personal house.
Oh, man.
I mean, are you kidding me?
In it.
Anyway, but sometimes you're like, well,
at least it was not one of your customers.
If it had been one of my customers, it would have been a lot more problems.
Yeah.
So anyway, but we'll have to figure a slide out there someday. So anyway.
Yes, we definitely need to get you a slide for your grandbabies.
So, well, thank you so much for talking with us tonight. Is there anything else y'all like to add that we didn't cover?
We're good. We appreciate the work. We appreciate the relationship that we've built with you guys over the years, and I hope that we continue, forward with great slides for more families in the future.
Oh yeah. Someday I really want to come see where y'all build everything. That would be kind of fun. So
you definitely need to.
So you said the facility, the manufacturing facilities in Mississippi?
Very north part of Mississippi. Is just under the Tennessee state line, basically.
Okay. And what town are y'all in?
Our sales office is in Adamsville, Tennessee.
Adamsville. So how is that anywhere near Nashville as a point of reference?
We're on the very bottom edge of Tennessee, where Tennessee meets Mississippi and Alabama.
Okay.
We're not terribly far from Nashville.
No,
you could go to Nashville and swing by.
Yeah. Well, there's discussions of going possibly to Nashville and doing some things. So, yeah.
Nice.
Might come on by. So,
okay.
Well, thank you. Y'all don't go to pool shows really much anymore, right? You're too busy.
We haven't the last few years. We're trying to balance. Like you said, do we want to grow like more? What do we want to do in the future? We have not been attending the shows. We bought a new place and we've kind of been fixing it up and things, but we'll be back. I don't know exactly. We might hit next year's.
Yeah. Well, y'all had a tornado too that you had to deal with, right?
Yeah, and that was the last show. You remember the last time I saw you, I was alone because that had happened. So yeah, we've just been dealing with that, and just our customers, you guys, we're so grateful. You keep coming back to us, so we don't have to go out there and really dig around for a lot of new work.
Yeah.
There's only 4 of us, so it's really hard to get away from the office. We have to take the office with us, basically.
So is it helpful for us to send you more pictures or videos?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well,
We can do that.
We can do
that. Would be wonderful. We appreciate you very much.
Certainly.
That's the highlight of our day when someone sends us a photo.
It does. We share it with everybody in the office.
Well, we've got a few real cool ones that just got finished up, so we'll have photographs come spring. So anyway.
Oh, that'll be great.
Thank you all again for everything. And
thank you.
Y'all have a happy holiday season.
Yes. Merry Christmas, guys.
Merry Christmas.
Y'all have a great holiday season.
You too.
Thanks.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I learned quite a bit.
What slide do you want to use next?
The speed slide is interesting because like the water park I used to go to as a kid had that big yellow one, and they always gave people wedgies, but I mean it was the funnest ride because you're just flying down the slide, which I think they actually removed and they replaced it with another one. It's probably because it wasn't safe, but definitely the speed slide. That's interesting.
So it's funny, of all the slides that I see people use, the only Jeremy Noggle has used that speed slide several times, and with real contemporary design, because basically you're going straight up, you go straight down.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about the curve and how to hide it and all that stuff. So like you can do a screen wall or a water wall or something like that, and then you just drop out, just do a. And it's funny because I don't even think about it that often, but like the pool that we're working on right now, it could have easily been set up with a.
I think the tricky part is speed slides. They're gonna be a little higher. You would assume, right?
I don't think so.
Well, they don't have to be.
They don't have to be, depending on the length. So the one that you go up, I think it's up 6.5 feet. It's 19 feet long. They make a great product.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize that the company had switched because I've been dealing with them for 25 years.
Yeah.
Easy. Yeah, right about 25 years. And they have some cool stuff for me to create some really cool projects. But the one going 3 floors down into a basement,
that's crazy.
That's pretty crazy. So
who needs an elevator when you have a water slide?
Yeah.
Just make sure you have your swimming trunks and your phone's not in your pocket.
Yeah.
or toss it right before you hit the water, I guess. I don't know. It's probably a bad idea. But anything besides the speed slide, and I didn't realize they got that tall. Because when she said, what was it, 30 feet tall? No, 20 feet. In my head, I was like, that's not that big. But then you realize that's 3 stories high. That's pretty significant.
Yeah.
Wow.
They've done some cool things that you see over the years. You should check out their Instagram account. It's Dolphin Slides. When I first started with them, I thought it was their templates and that was it.
Yeah, that's what I assumed too.
I think a lot of people assume that. I haven't used one of their templates in 10 years because they're like, oh no, Mike, they explained it to me. We can design it. And so as long as you work with the right size pieces and they can help guide you through that, the biggest thing is you can't turn real sharp corners.
Yeah.
So it's a gradual curve and it's a 45. You can put 2 45s together and get a 90-degree turn, but it's usually better to have a 45 and then a straight run and then another 45, makes a nicer ride.
Well, it's just easier to design that way too, because then you have a freedom. You're not limited to like a certain structure, a certain pathway.
Right, but it does take up some space if you got a longer slide.
Yeah.
So,
but it's perfect for the right client.
Oh, 100%. But they're a great resource, and they will work with you and help you come up with the best solution for them. But yes, they're a lot more beyond what their templates are on their website.
I'm actually I didn't expect them to deal with a lot of homeowners individually. That was a really cool aspect too, that people go straight to them, and some even try to build them themselves, which is I wouldn't do, but to each their own.
Right. The other thing is I forget that they do all these different colors.
Mm-hmm. And color matching. Yeah.
So the very first one, it was, I mean, there was a lot of people that are like, are you kidding? You're going to do a slide that color?
Was it the antique white, which is like off-white yellow?
It was yellow.
Okay.
I mean, it was yellow.
Because I looked on their site and I saw like 13 of the matte colors and then like 12 of the fine finishes. But on there it says we'll color match anything.
And so we actually got a piece of the stone and found a color that matched closest to it, and that's what we used. So if you're sitting there looking at it, it was like, man, that's yellow. But then when you put it into the overall project, and it was in the middle of landscaping. So it was a slide. There was no masonry around it. It was coming through the landscaping. We did a metal staircase with it, and then it went into the pool, and then all the deck color was that color. So it worked out really well. But anyway, they're a great resource, and their product's a lot of fun. So
yeah, make sure if you're looking into doing it, make sure you know the city codes and HOA codes as well, because you can go up 20 feet in the air, but with their product, but some areas don't allow that. So
certainly not. So yes, like I mentioned, the one project in Dallas, we had to be a certain distance off of, because they said it was going to be a view for the neighbor, and actually we kept the slide below the 8-foot masonry fence. Yeah. So we argued that, well, there was no view to the neighbor, but they still made us stay a certain distance off the fence line. So, but yes, the city codes are important to understand.
But I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. So we'll look forward to checking out some more things next week. I think we've got a really cool guest who is well known in the industry, and his specialty is outdoor kitchens. So
it's going to be a fun one.
Yeah. We'll talk to y'all later.
Have a good one.